So how's it going?
Good.
Good? Yeah, what's good?
Stuff in general is good. The weather's nice. There's plenty of video games on TV and spaghetti in the fridge.
Nice.
Plenty to be thankful for.
Good. Where, um, in what ways do you express gratitude in your day-to-day life?
I simply pause to think about what I have and appreciate it.
And appreciate it?
I don't generally externalize it. I just sort of think to myself, yep, it's pretty good.
So it's more like internally. It's not really visible to everyone else.
I occasionally journal, but I don't keep my journal visible to anyone else.
Oh, that's good. How often do you journal? Daily or just whenever?
Just whenever.
Time is right.
Probably on average once every week or two.
Okay, nice.
Just depends.
I used to journal, but like you said, I only journal like whenever I feel like I really need to get something off my mind or something. I usually kind of use it as like an outlet to escape from whatever's going on, and just helps me put my thoughts on a paper and not really have to internalize it. And something about putting it on paper actually helps me. I find it therapeutic for me.
It's true. Words are less nebulous than thoughts. Nebulous problems are difficult.
Yep. So what are some other ways you can digress or kind of come to understanding your thoughts more clearly instead of just letting them pile up or you're thinking about?
Go for a walk instead of working nonstop.
Walks are good.
You can put away your phone. Try not to be constantly distracted by things.
Yeah.
The world is full of distractions.
Mm-hmm. They have these apps on your phones, where you can like set a timer, and it's like you can like build a forest or trees
I have
or something.
that one, yes.
You do?
Yes. I don't use it much anymore, but I think it did its job. I'm more cognizant of when I use the phone.
You didn't destroy a whole forest?
I didn't destroy a whole forest by being inattentive.
Good. That's good. Yeah, so how else was your day today?
It's fine.
How was work?
Work was crappy.
Why was it crappy?
Work was crappy because I feel as though the things I do on a regular basis aren't that important to society as a whole. I feel as it's not going to make a positive world-changing difference. It might make the world an okay-ish place for some people in some small way, but there's probably a lot better things I could be doing with my time and energy.
So what I'm getting is you don't feel like your work really impacts a lot of people, or like it impacts the general population, but not that many people. Like there's only like a certain group it benefits from, but you feel like I'm getting a sense that you feel like it's crappy because it's not as impactful as you want to be, or that you feel you can be. You feel like you have a greater potential to do more.
Sure, I do. I just need to figure out how to use it. The work I do now mostly benefits the middle to upper class, and sure, some people who could really use help probably benefit indirectly as a result of my work, and probably a lot of people get to have nice, comfortable middle class lives like the one I get. But there's people who could use a lot more of my talents, and there's greater things that I could feel more compelled to do, and at the end of every day feel like I've made someone's life substantially better.
I understand. And so what are some other ways with your current job you can reach out to impact more people? Or is there something like in terms of impacting more people, would you actually want to maybe change your job and have a job that's more suitable for impacting a greater amount of people and not just like upper middle class or people that
I would like
are
a job that
nursing.
saves the world, especially since the world seems to be heading towards terrible places. It's going to boil over into an apocalypse if we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at all levels of my life, from work to the highest reaches of world government, it's just run by people who are either stupid, evil, or incompetent pushovers. Or some awful combination of the three.
So in what ways can you help others, or how can you be part of a bigger movement or a bigger occupation that actually makes a change and makes a difference in the world that you would like to see?
I'm becoming less and less certain that it's possible to make the sorts of needed changes in the world through non-violent means. That's upsetting because I don't prefer violence. I see it as a last resort, but I see a lot of people who have made non-violent change impossible and who have made violent change inevitable.
So have you seen anyone who has had a great impact with nonviolence in recent times? Because I know that's what we're focusing on.
None who had much great success that I saw or that I hear about. I'm sure they do exist, I probably just don't get to hear about them because it's not as sensational. You can't slap as many advertisements on it and get as many clicks or eyeballs. That's just the problem.
So you think people gravitate towards violence and find it more exciting? They're more intrigued by it? Why do you think that is? Why do you think violence compared to nonviolence is more exciting?
People love a spectacle.
They love a show.
They love a show. And you say that good news is boring. I disagree because there's probably a lot of exciting good news that happens. People who do innovate or work very hard to make good changes in the world.
Yeah.
But you won't see any of that on the cable news networks.
No.
You don't see any of it online. You don't see it being shared with angry reactions or thumbs up and thumbs down and lots of idiots in the comments. Most of the time I can't even listen to or read the news. I just sort of hear about it eventually if it's really big or important, and all the big or important things are usually the worst bits of news of all. Like a rapist being appointed to the Supreme Court because another rapist needs to defend himself from FBI allegations. Stupid, evil people ruling the world.
And how do you, because it sounds like you like to keep up to date and stuff like that, but how do you filter out the news you need to hear versus all, I don't want to say fake news, but all like the other news that could be real, could be fake, but there's so much news out there. How do you tailor what you see or what
I really don't. I just try and avoid most of it because it's all so terrible.
All of it?
Most of it, most of the time. Occasionally I'll cave and turn on the radio to NPR and they'll be talking about the latest awful thing that's happening with the climate or the political climate or the Earth's climate. Or someone on Facebook will share a thing that's just infuriating and I have no power to change it.
Yeah. Well, you could block that person or block that news if you wanted to. But I suppose you want to keep up to date. But going back to like what you were first talking about when you said you wanted to really have a greater impact in society as a whole, especially considering all that's going on. And the world's never going to be perfect.
No.
But how can you personally attempt to make a difference in your day-to-day life? Or what can you do? It may not be so much your occupation, it may not be so much what you say or something, but how could you reverse it as an individual?
I try not to be wasteful. I try not to do anything excessive or that would worsen the problems as I perceive them, but as an individual, I feel like there's a handful of individuals in the world who can make a very big impact if they just decided to. If they decided to have priorities other than lining their pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the shifting of these burdens onto the average individual, the plebeians, the masses, the common folk. I feel like the tendency to shift that responsibility onto people like me is very much a diversion tactic. Sure, I can drive to work less. It would probably be great for me and the local environment in a lot of ways, but there's still so many things that are well beyond that control. There are still so many that the power to make the biggest difference seems to be in the hands of so few people.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the worst sorts of people. Because the kind of person who seeks out power is the kind of person I least want to see have it. Look it up. Most CEOs are sociopaths. Or have sociopathic tendencies. You probably knew that already.
I didn't. I feel like that's kind of a generalized statement, but I will look into it and see.
I hope you do.
And go back. Yeah, is there anything else? I know we kind of unpacked a lot in this conversation, this discussion, but is there anything else that you would like to express, or anything else that another idea came up?
Yes, the wholesale slaughter of animals by the millions is an ethical and ecological and moral disaster, and it is being done at the expense of our planet and the health of everyone in this world. I could go on at length, but I won't. I'll just leave it at it is a blight upon the world. It is a cancer, and I don't see it as being reversible, least of all through the efforts of an individual. I feel a need to organize with other individuals if I'm going to make any substantial difference.
Mm-hmm. I understand. So I noticed you said the word, you used the word reversible. So you're saying, just to clarify, you're saying what has been done previously is continuously being done with animal slaughter has had such a great impact on the environment that it cannot be reversed. Is that just to clarify what you said?
It does seem like if something's not done very soon, then yes, it will be irreversible. The world is definitely reaching a tipping point, and all I get to do, it seems, is stand back and watch and cast a vote every 2 years for some spineless shill who won't actually do anything about it or won't win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my choice.
And that's where you get to use your voice. And I know you talked about like having a group or forming a group of people who can actually make a difference. And I feel like there actually are a number of like substantial groups and also large environmental groups that actually try to make a change. Is that something you'd be interested in pursuing?
Maybe.
It may not make a greater difference, but as you stated, that it would make more of a difference than just you as an individual.
It's true. It would do me a lot more good than complaining.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Is there anything else?
No, not at this time.
All right.
Do you have anything else?
No, I guess I would just say, I think how you view things, and I think you have a lot to say, and you have a lot of opinions about things and what you see and what comes in, but I feel like don't let so much of it alter how you see things. I feel like you see things for how they are, but I feel like you have more of an impact and can make more of a difference than you give yourself credit for. How I see it. But thank you for meeting with me.
I hope you're right. Thank you for having me.